Welcome to Talk+Water, the podcast associated with the Texas+Water newsletter, which provides timely information on the spectrum of Texas water issues, including science, policy, and law. Texas+Water is published jointly by the Meadow Center for Water and the Environment at Texas State University, the Texas Water Journal, and the Texas Water Resources Institute at Texas A&M University. You can sign up for the Texas+Water newsletter by visiting texas+water.org/newsletter. My name is Todd Votteler, and I am the Editor-in-Chief of Texas+Water and the Texas Water Journal, as well as your host for Talk+Water. My guests today are Margaret Martens, Executive Director of the Water Systems Council, and Susan O'Grady, Director of Marketing, Residential, and Agriculture for Xylem Inc. Margaret, Susan, welcome and thank you for both being part of Talk+Water.
Thank you, Todd.
So let's start out with your backgrounds in water. First, Margaret, how did you become involved with water issues?
10 years ago, Todd, I was hired by the Water Systems Council. My initial position with them was to help them with some large water events that they have and to also help them develop a new nonprofit to help Americans who did not have access to water. So it's been 10 years.
Susan, how about you?
So I started in the water space about 22 years ago. As I was going for my MBA, I wanted to get some relevant experience in marketing, which led me to a local company. 22 years later, I have had multiple roles in the water industry. I absolutely love it. I love how hardworking our customers are, and I love that we're able to provide a precious resource such as water.
The water community is really interesting. You know, once you get into it, it's hard to get out because it's really so fascinating. There's so much to do. So, Margaret, please tell us about the Water Systems Council and the Water Well Trust.
The Water Systems Council is actually the trade association for the water well industry. So our members are the major manufacturers of the products that go into well systems. They are the distributors of said products. They're state associations of groundwater professionals, well contractors. So we kind of cover the gamut of folks involved in the water world. The Water Systems Council has been around since 1932, and in 2010, they decided to develop a new nonprofit called the Water Well Trust to help Americans who did not have access to safe drinking water in their homes. Our members realized there were lots of good organizations helping people in other countries, but no one was doing that on a national basis here.
That's something that I was thinking about before today, is how often I hear about efforts going on in other parts of the world, but you just don't hear as much about the need here in the United States.
Yes, Todd, there's 1.5 million Americans and perhaps maybe even more. Another recent study came out that said it was probably over 2 million Americans who are living without access to safe water in their homes. It's something people don't understand.
And so what are some of the Water Well Trust's major accomplishments thus far?
Well, I mean, certainly it's a major accomplishment just building a nonprofit that's actually been a success. And so we spent our first couple of years working on pilot projects in Arkansas and Georgia, kind of on a smaller scale. And then once we had proven our abilities, we went to USDA. There is a grant program through USDA called the Household Water Well Systems Grant Program. And since 2014, we have been receiving yearly grants from USDA, which is a big deal. We got our largest grant for our work in 2020. It was a $300,000 grant to work in Alabama. Another really important thing that not only do we help Americans with getting access to safe drinking water. But our projects also prove the cost effectiveness of wells and well systems, especially in rural areas. We take these projects and run the numbers, and we can look at that a little bit more. But they certainly prove that most times wells are a really good solution for drinking water.
And so a grant like the one you mentioned for, say, $300,000 in Alabama, that would pay for the construction of one well?
Oh, no, these are individual wells or share wells. So the limit right now on what we can loan, it's for individual private well owners who either have a well that's failed or that do not have any access to water in their homes and they need a new well. And we can loan them up to $11,000. It's a revolving loan program. And so, again, we can loan them up to $11,000. Now, that is changing next year when the amount we can loan goes up to $15,000, which is a good thing because in a lot of states, in some states, wells are only, $6,000, $7,000, but in other states like New Mexico, where we just wrapped up a project, the wells were running closer to $14,000. So it's good that their USDA is raising that rate.
Gotcha. So, Susan, please tell us about Xylem and Xylem Watermark.
Sure. So Xylem, their main mission is to solve water. So if you look at the entire water cycle, our products fit in there somehow or another. So whether it's bringing water to an entire city, treating the water from a water treatment plant, if in a home, we have sump pumps that remove water from the house to prevent basement flooding. We have well pumps that bring water to people's homes. Commercial buildings, you'll see many of our products within there. If you go to restaurants, we bring a lot of the soda machines. We have pumps that pump the soda machines and then also some of the food processing. So if you look at the whole water cycle, we're involved, and we're also involved in many different industries as well. So our Watermark program is our social responsibility program. That was one of the reasons that I was attracted to Xylem so much, is that they really talk about doing good, and they actually walk the walk. They've allowed me in my current role to engage our customers in different Watermark projects, which we're going to talk about in a little bit here. And basically the Watermark is really what the goal is to provide and protect water resources, and also to educate on water issues. So Watermark's involved in natural disasters. We're involved in training schools on water quality. Involved in helping people get access to water, like a project that we're going to talk about in Belle Verde. And it's just a great program, and has a lot of room for growth too. One of our initiatives in the last few years is to engage our customers in Watermark projects as well. So it's been a lot of fun working on different projects with different customers throughout the U.S. In their own communities and making a difference in those communities.
So with regard to Xylem, I was looking at your website, and it looks like it's really a family of companies, all sorts of companies that are part of Xylem that have a whole range of different water products. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We are definitely a house of brands. So we have a lot of different brands that Xylem has acquired over the years, all related to the water space. So that's really, like I said, our mission is let's solve water. So every one of these companies has something to do with water.
Right. And thinking about your Watermark program, Texas has for years struggled with the issue of colonias along the U.S.-Mexico border, which are relatively poor, unincorporated areas that often don't have a stable water supply. So I can see where a program like Watermark and also the Water Well Trust program would really be of interest to people who are in a situation like that.
Yes, Todd, we actually just did a project in New Mexico, and we had named the southern counties for that project for that very reason of the colonias being there. So there is a huge need in both Texas and New Mexico.
So back to Watermark. Susan, what are some of the major accomplishments?
So some of the major accomplishments, we partner with a lot of other nonprofits. So we're a global company. So we build water towers in Africa. I think we have over 80% employee engagement, that we're offered volunteer hours to do different things in our own communities. We have partnered with Manchester City, which is a soccer organization, mainly based in Europe, but there is some part of their organization here in the U.S. And just to try to spread the message of, helping to solve water and helping to provide water resources to people in need.
So in July 2019, you were down here in Texas in Bulverde, which is just north of San Antonio. And I saw that, and I don't know if you realize this, but I had worked for an agency that included the Bulverde area in its jurisdiction. And so that, piqued my curiosity. And I learned that you were both working, Water Well Trust and Xylem, with a family there in Bulverde. So, Margaret, why don't you tell us why the organizations went to Bulverde and what you ended up doing there?
Well, we were contacted by this family in Bulverde. They were sharing their parents' well. The parents are elderly. They live next door and are elderly. And the parents were getting concerned that they may have failing health or maybe even pass away, and it would result in the other family not having access to water any longer. They were running a hose to their home from their well, so of course that's not ideal either. So they decided to try to find a way that they could perhaps get a well of their own. She searched on the internet. She actually found the Water Well Trust on the internet and reached out to us. At that time, we did not necessarily have funds for working in Texas. But what we do is, if we are not able to help the people immediately, then we put them on a wait list that we have. So what happened was we were in the process of maybe trying to find her help with somebody else or to get her on our wait list when I was contacted by Susan telling me that Watermark wanted to do a project and had hoped to do it either in Texas or I think she said California. So as this often happens, Todd, I had just gotten a call from this family several days prior. So I got off the phone with Susan and immediately reached out to this other family to let them know that we were going to be able to work with them, which is always a really exciting thing to be able to do.
Great. Susan, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, so overall, this was a pretty life-changing experience. So we were able to get our local distributor involved, Austin Pump, who also selected a well driller in the area, Schwab & Sons, and they helped scope out the well and helped assess the situation so that we were able to provide the right products. So Gould Water Technology donated the products. Ryan Arnett from Austin Pump used his connections with other manufacturers and got us some other discounts on other products. And then the well driller also offered discounts on his service. So all in all, it was a big team effort. And Margaret, was instrumental in coordinating the entire project as well, being part of the Water Well Trust. And then our teams asked the family through Margaret if there's some things that we can do to help them around their house. They had a disabled daughter who took a lot of care, and they had 30 chickens around their home that me, their daughter, who was in a wheelchair, would try to gather their eggs every morning. So instead, we decided to build them a chicken coop as part of our team project and help clean up their yard. So all in all, I mean, it was a great project. The mother, we use her quote often: "Water is freedom." So it was definitely life-changing for them and all the people involved in this project.
That's great. So in this case, the Salazars contacted the Waterwell Trust. Margaret, are there other ways in which families are selected for projects?
Well, we, like I say, Todd, with our USDA projects, we have to be working in specific states and specific counties. And when we do those USDA projects, we do a broad outreach to those counties to try to get the word out about the availability of the program. But as I also said, we do get contacted via our website, email, or via phone calls from people all over the country needing our help. So we have been able to raise additional funds through the COVID Cares group. We've gotten a couple of grants from the Pentair Foundation, and then of course working with Watermark. So when we have some of these additional projects available to us, we can look at our wait list to try to help those that are on that list.
Susan, are there any other organizations that were part of the Salazar's Waterwell project?
Yes, definitely. So, like I said, our distributor, Austin Pump, they were very instrumental in getting help from other manufacturers. So Austin was kind of the main organization that helped was involved with the project and get help from other manufacturers. Also Schwab & Sons, which is the well driller based out of Belle Verde, Texas. They also provided discounts on their labor and then helped all in all with assessing the well and actually drilling the well and installing the equipment.
So, Margaret, was this the first project like this between the Waterwell Trust and Xylem Watermark?
No, actually, we did a really great project in 2018 outside of Asheville, North Carolina. We had a low-income subdivision that kind of went up a mountain. That it was 24 households, and they had 4 community wells, and the wells had failed. And so they had not been maintained properly. So we went in there and we were able to rehabilitate 3 of the 4 wells and provide safe water for these 24 households. And the cost of rehabilitating the wells was $47,000. And the cost of, we then did, as I said, Todd, we used these cases as case studies for the well industry. We then looked at what it would have cost to run a public water supply system to these same households. And that number was $3.2 million. So proves a cost savings of 99% on this project. And those are the kind of numbers that we then use when we go and lobby for our industry up on the Hill. So that's
great. It's
a win for everybody.
So clearly there's a need for the kind of projects that you are working together to complete. So let's talk about the future a little bit. Susan, what are y'all planning coming down the road?
Sure. Yeah. So one of the big things about the Watermark program is that we're big on volunteering. So any project that we are involved in, we want some kind of volunteer aspect to it. So like Margaret was saying, for the North Carolina project, we also helped rebuild well houses so that we could protect the equipment that we provided within it. So that's going to be always a key component of any future project as well. So we are excited to announce in December, we will be partnering with an organization called Water Boys, which is founded by the Chris Long Foundation. Chris Long is a retired NFL player who has a mission of bringing clean water to 1 million people throughout the world. His organization originally started mainly in Africa and Tanzania, where he has built water towers there to help for villages to get access to water. We contacted him last year in 2019 to see if there would be some domestic opportunities, and they had that as one of their priorities. So we launched our partnership in December, and along with the Waterwell Trust as one of the benefiting charities for this partnership as well. So we will be working the three organizations together to help Americans get access to clean water. So that's kind of the biggest projects that we have going on in the immediate future.
Oh, that is great. Margaret, do you want to add anything to that?
Well, yes. I mean, it is a huge opportunity for us because we feel that this will help spread the word about how this situation is happening in the United States. We are excited that we have identified the first family that we are going to be working with. It's a family in Virginia. Chris lives in Virginia and had requested that the first project be in his state. And so, again, just as it always happens, we had been contacted by a family who had it's a family with 4 minor children, one of them with a severe autism. And they had been in their home for a while and their well failed. They had to move out of their home because they had to have access to water for all those children. So I think they're all living in, just a single hotel room while they're waiting. They were trying to get help to get a well. So we had the pleasure of being able to inform them last week that we were going to be working with them through Water Boys and the Chris Long Foundation. And you just don't even know. People just are so thrilled when they find out that they actually can find assistance and help. So that family is extremely excited about working with us and Watermark and the Chris Long Foundation. And we're going to be undertaking that project fairly soon. So, and as Susan says, she did ask that I inquire about other projects, and he had quite a long list. So I think there's going to be another really successful joint effort to help a family.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And I'm looking at your press release here. If anyone wants to know about the Chris Long Foundation, the web address is www.chrislongfoundation.org. And if someone wants to know more, Margaret, about the Waterwell Trust, how can they do that?
Well, we have a website, www.waterwelltrust.org, where you can read about our work, and you can also always contact me or any of our staff. We are always very happy to talk about the work that we do with the trust, and so we are always available.
Susan, how can someone find out more about Xylem Watermark?
So the best place is most likely our website as well. So either Xylem.com. We also have social media pages that you can follow as well. The main brand that we're using in the residential space is our Gould's Water Technology brand. So that's probably the best place to follow on social to get more information about Water Boys, because that's the brand that we're going to be using as kind of to initiate this partnership. That's because that's the products that work best for the residential well market.
Great. Well, that sounds like an exciting collaboration that you're starting. And, I look forward to hearing what you accomplish over the next year or so. And, I hope that you will send me some updates so that I can post those on our social media sites as well to let our listeners know how the Chris Long Foundation, Xylem Watermark, and the Water Well Trust are working together to solve some very important water problems for some families who are really in need of some help in that regard. So, with that, this has been Talk+Water, the podcast associated with the Talk+Water newsletter, which provides timely information on the spectrum of Texas water issues, including science, policy, and law. My guests today were Margaret Martens, Executive Director of the Water Systems Council, and Susan O'Grady, Director of Marketing, Residential, and Agriculture at Xylem Incorporated. Texas+Water is published jointly by the Meadows Center for Water and the Environment at Texas State University, the Texas Water Journal, and the Texas Water Resources Institute at Texas A&M University. You can sign up for Texas+Water by visiting texas+water.org/newsletter. My name is Todd Votteler, the host of Talk+Water. Let's talk water again soon.